All right, we are back with Streamlabs. So let's hope this works out pretty well for us. All right. So today we're going to be talking about targeted mortgage primarily talking about targeted mortgage programs. These are going to be the new craze going forward in 2022 and beyond. And the first targeted loan programs had come out courtesy of Freddie Mac. Well, Freddie Mac is going to be the first ones to run out targeted loan programs, and I'm going to tell you right now that they're a little controversial. They're controversial for a number of reasons, not the least of which is it flies in the face, as far as I can tell, of every fair housing and reg that we've had to follow up until this point as mortgage lenders. And it flies in the face of ECOA, everything that every mortgage lender has ever been taught about ECOA, discrimination, and fair housing and discrimination. It flies right in the face of it. Now, I don't want you to believe me. I don't have a bone to pick. I don't have an agenda here. But I do want to show you what Freddie Mac is doing. And what I want to get your opinion. And I want you to know, tell me if I'm off base on this thing. So I did put my show together. I put my show out tomorrow, and it's about this. And let's face it, it's a sensitive issue. We're talking about discrimination as it pertains to mortgage lending, and we have just moved the bar so drastically in the last couple of days that discrimination and mortgage regulation and mortgage rule application it's just different. It's just different. And I don't know, maybe it's better. I mean, there's truth that their underserved classes are underrepresented in home ownership, and we need to address these issues. As I've said before, everything HUD has done up until this point, everything Fannie's done up to this point, Freddie's done up to this point, the DOJ, the OIG, they've all done to bridge the home ownership gap amongst people of different ethnicities has failed miserably, just absolutely miserably. We passed the Fair Housing Act in the 1960s, and we have home ownership rates amongst African Americans that are lower today than when fair housing was passed. How is that even possible? You have HUD, where this is their charter to help underserved communities, who they just had their budget raised 19% to $71 billion annually. $71 billion annually. We talk about billions now like it's not that big of a deal. $1 billion is a big deal. It's a real big effing deal. And we've actually gone backwards. We've gone backwards in so many ways, and it seems like every policy that we throw to try to bridge the wealth gap, the home ownership gap amongst people of different ethnicities has failed. And all I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying is the proof is in the pudding. Just look at the numbers. Look at home ownership rates today versus where they were 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But today I'm going to show you something that, frankly, is shocking. This is going to shock you, and I'm going to methodically walk you through my thought processing on this. I'm going to methodically walk you through what Freddie Mac, the Department of Justice, the CFPB, and all of our regulatory agencies, what they're saying right now is the new bar. And I want to know what you think. So I really do. I want to know what you think. So let me know as we go forward with this, because I think this is going to become the new norm. The whole idea of targeted lending is going to persist. Targeted lending, as we know it, is going to be something that is not going to go anywhere. If we look at, for example, bear with me, guys. We're going to be going through a lot of stuff here, so I need you to stick with me. This is going to be shocking, too, because we're going to go down their rabbit hole, not our rabbit hole. But if we go down to it, targeted means to select an object of attention or attack. That's what targeting is. To select an object for attention or attack. What does it mean to be targeted by someone? Something or someone, in this case, that would be the government-sponsored enterprises. Something or someone to be affected by an action or a development. What's the action or what's the development? It's going to be targeted lending. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, if you think of the term, just off the top of your head, I want you to think of this, and we're jumping into this, but if you think of the term targeted, doesn't that almost in and of itself meet the definition of discrimination? Just think of it in a vacuum. Just right now in a vacuum. Just think of the term targeted. If you are, as it pertains to lending, going to target somebody to either approve or not approve, just based on who they are, their ethnicity, is targeting in that manner, is that not discrimination? Doesn't matter who you're targeting, because if I'm targeting it only for a person of one class, one ethnicity, is that not targeting? Because if I do that, then, okay, I'm going to target somebody for a loan approval. What am I implying? I'm implying if I target you for a loan approval on a loan that otherwise would never get approved anywhere, never, that's why I'm targeting this. I need to find different rules, different guidelines, and I need to find a way to approve people who otherwise by traditional methodologies would never get approved. I'm going to target you for approval. What does that imply? Well, again, think this through. That means other people, well, shit, I don't qualify for a loan. I want that loan too. You know, the one that approves people who otherwise couldn't be approved. I want that loan too. Or I want that loan with terms and conditions that are far better than what the market would afford. I want that loan too. Well, you can't get it. Well, why not? Because you weren't targeted. This is a targeted loan program. It is called Freddie Mac's Targeted Lending Program. So by definition, I'm not giving it to you because you're not targeted. Would it surprise you to know that I have actually followed this rabbit hole down, and Freddie Mac even says it? The CFPB actually even says that. What type of consumer finance is that? What type of consumer protection is that when you're targeting one group for approval at the expense of other groups? Just think of it in a vacuum. Doesn't matter what groups are getting targeted for or against. When you're targeting, that kind of meets the description of discrimination. So let's go down this rabbit hole a little bit, guys, shall we? Oh, and by the way, over here, this is the subscribe to the National Real Estate Post. We'll give it to you daily. It's a 5 to 7 minute video that we record, we edit, and we deliver to your inbox. Or we have an app as well. You can go ahead. All our different means of distribution are right there on that app if you want to click that. And then you'll get our show. We don't spam you. We don't charge you. We don't do anything. We just try to give you industry information in about 5 to 7 minutes every morning and maybe put a smile on your face with a little sales nourishment. So you can check that out. That's my show, the National Real Estate Post. Okay, so we're going to go into this here. So just bear with me. If this looks a little wanky to begin with, we will certainly straighten this stuff out. Okay, so, and it shouldn't be too wanky for too long. Okay, so let's go look at this one here first. And Thomas, make sure screen sharing looks good. Okay, Freddie Mac's first out of the gates with plans for targeted lending programs. Okay. All right, what does that mean? Very clearly, let's just follow this rabbit hole. The Special Purpose Credits Program will pertain to Black, Latino, and Native American borrowers. Oops. Period. This is who it's for. This is who's being specifically targeted. Okay? Not Native Americans, not East Indians, not Asian or Pacific Islanders, not Caucasians, not whites. And this, by the way, just to let you know, this is not me. This is not me. This is according to Pamela Perry, the head of Freddie Mac's single-family equitable housing team. Okay, so the program will be announced in the third quarter of this year, Perry said during a fair housing. But isn't that interesting? A fair housing. I just want you to think of these terms. A fair housing webinar that is only for this subset of folks here. Okay? And by the way, I'm not having a conversation about minority groups being underrepresented. They certainly are. But food for thought here. Let's just say, instead of targeting blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, what if we were to put this down economic lines? So why don't we just say people in specific targeted areas and target the areas, but target everybody in the areas. And say you make 70% of what the median income is for the area, or 80%. Target it by income. That way, if there's a disproportionate number of poor Black, Latino, and Native Americans in your targeted area, by all means, they're going to get a disproportionate amount of the money, but you're not leaving anybody who's broke and destitute on the outside looking in. But that's not how they drew this up, and frankly, I feel like this is kind of by design. Seems a bit unfair to me, does it to you? I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Okay, but let's keep going here. So we know what we're doing now. We know that they're going to be rolling out a program. It's going to be a credit program, so it'll be credit specific, meaning the typical metrics that we currently have to approve or not approve somebody right now it's going to be expanded to include more people. It's going to be, and by the way, expanded to include more, to be more inclusive. That means dropping your standards. That's all that means. Let's just be clear about it. We're expanding our credit guidelines, which means lowering our standards so more people can make it in. And again, I'm not passing any judgment on this. I think some of the stuff that shows up on credit reports, frankly, is unfair. I do. I know people who work full-time, don't make a ton of money, cannot afford, especially here in the People's Republic of California, like I like to say, where every respectable businessman has a poster of Chairman Mao Zedong, over their desk. Especially here in California, where it's prohibitive. So, I understand, a lot of these medical bills are kind of crazy. But it's going to be targeted. It's going to be based on credit. I suspect Freddie's going to roll something out that's going to have possibly a longer term, because we're hearing 40-year terms coming up. We're going to find lower rates because that's something that's discussed quite a bit. And this will be a fabrication of programs that have been put forth in previous years, though not being targeted as specifically or as clearly or as blatantly as is being talked about over here. It's also not clear where Fannie and Freddie's larger GSEs counterpart plan to roll out special purpose credit programs. In Fannie Mae's latest annual financial filings, the GSE said it anticipates establishing and supporting special purpose credit programs as part of their equitable housing plan. So Fannie Mae is going to follow suit here. But now let's just start going down the rabbit hole here. This is where it starts to get a little interesting for you. Okay, so in February, all of the banking... Now, guys, you have to pay attention here. This is very, very important for you to understand what Freddie Mac is up to. Okay, in February, all of the banking regulatory agencies, the CFPB and the Department of Justice, HUD and the FHFA, which we both know is Fannie and Freddie, they issued a rare interagency statement encouraging lenders to explore opportunities to develop special purpose credit programs. Targeted programs. All right, here it is. This is what you're looking at here is your interagency memo that was put out by the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, the National Credit Union Administration, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the CFPB, HUD, DOJ, and FHFA, who has conservatorship over Fannie and Freddie. And this came out February 22nd, 2022. Now, we've got a lot of more stuff going on from here, so just follow me on this, guys. Okay, what they're doing here is they're giving the legal framework in order to rationalize a program that by every metric and standard every lender has ever followed when it came to fair housing and ECOA is just thrown out the window. And if you think I'm wrong, just keep following me on this. Okay, but they're going to tell us why this is not an ECOA or Reg B violation. Oh, and one more thing over here, which I didn't explain to you, is when Pamela Perry, she also says over here, this is interesting here, just before we move on there, this is the reason why they have to go down this road. Notwithstanding all of the guidance, we still hear concerns of legality from lenders. That'd be your employers or you. So I say keep the guidance coming because we are building it and we hope the lending community is going to come with us. In short, lenders right now are looking at this damn thing and saying, like they don't want this to come back and bite them in the ass because every lender has ever been told they've possibly even been fined or had actions taken against them and their company for fair housing violations that they didn't have clear guidance on. Now they're coming out with a program that says, yes, discriminate. By all means, do it. And so lenders are saying, we don't know, this doesn't feel right. And Perry actually even acknowledges it. Yeah, we know that you lenders aren't really comfortable with us doing this, so let us show you the legal framework in order to make this happen. Let's go out there and have an interagency statement that we're going to put together to rationalize or to justify or to explain why it is now legal to do something that just a few short months ago was illegal. And we are all arm in arm in agreeing with this, the DOJ, the CFPB, all of them. So here it is. Okay, so ECOA and Reg B permit creditors to extend special purpose credit offerings pursuant to. Okay, so you're not allowed to do this like Monday through Friday. But when it comes to special purpose credit offerings, then we can take the guidelines and everything that the guidelines represent and we can just throw them out the window. So any credit assistance program expressly authorized by the federal or state law for the benefit of an economically disadvantaged class of persons. Interesting term, class of persons. And by the way, I just showed you, Pamela told you who our class of persons was. Here's our class of persons. Right here, out of the mouth of the person putting this whole thing together. That's your class of persons. This was put out to support this. Any credit assistance program offered by a not-for-profit organization for the benefit of its members or economically disadvantaged class of persons. Okay? So you can run this as a nonprofit. Boop. Okay. We're going to get to the fine print in a minute here. Here's the other one. Any special purpose credit program offered by a for-profit organization. A for-profit organization is you, a mortgage company, or in which such an organization participates. Or an organization participates to meet special social needs if it meets certain standards prescribed in regulations by the Bureau. Okay. So let's see what the Bureau has to say. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go from this interagency statement, special purpose credit programs under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and Reg B. And here's where you usually find a lot of your good stuff. So we're going to go here and we're going to search what their footnotes are. They're setting precedents for what they're doing, what they're putting in their interagency statement here, based on this. And here it is. But I'm actually going to back us out and show you how we get here. So we take the fine print, we copy it, we paste it, we go here, we find it. Okay. So now the interagency statement to rationalize the targeted lending program boils down to this. Okay. This is from the Federal Register, the Daily Journal of the United States Government. It's the Equal Credit Opportunity Reg B Special Purpose Credit Program Act, put together a rule by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Here's the summary of it. And again, this is what I find. I put this in my show for tomorrow, and I just kind of figured, like, this is going to piss somebody off. And so here's what it says here. Specifically, this advisory opinion, the opinion of this was the opinion of the CFPB, and it became an interagency statement. Clarifies the content that a for-profit, that would be you, mortgage companies, organization must include in a written plan that establishes and administers a special purpose credit program under Regulation B. In addition, this advisory opinion, that's an AO, clarifies the type of research and data that may be appropriate to inform a for-profit organization's determination that a special purpose credit program is needed to benefit what? That's right. Once again, this term keeps coming up, a certain class of people. And our certain class of people, now we're 3 papers in, we know exactly who this is for. Again, guys, this could be the best thing in the world for everybody. Let's just say for what it is. Why do we have to use legal language about this? Why don't we just talk about like what we're trying to accomplish? Okay, so here's the summary of this action piece. Now, here's what I find interesting. Now, this is to rationalize this, which is to rationalize this. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here. This is what I do with my Mondays. What do you do with yours? Actually, I started this last week. Okay. Now, if we go down to section C and we go to the applicable regulatory provisions, all right? I find this one very interesting because this is just a statement for which there is legal standing. We'll get into that in a minute. Now, I want you to see this here. It is not discrimination. That's like that. Doesn't that statement just remind you of when Nixon said, "I'm not a crook"? You're like, he's a crook. I mean, it's like, I'm not seriously. All right, truthfully, let me tell you something here, Thomas. When I say truthfully, you're like, he's full of shit. I'm not a crook. You're a crook. And when they come out and the first words out of their mouth under applicable regulatory provisions, they say, it is not discrimination. Oh, but now you're going to explain why it's not discrimination, and it's going to walk, talk, and quack like discrimination. It is not discrimination under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, also known as ECOA, for a creditor, that would be you, listen to this, to refuse to extend credit offers. That means it would not be discrimination under ECOA for a lender to deny a loan to a legally compliant special purpose credit program. In other words, if you have somebody who does not meet the special purpose criteria of a loan program, if you don't have that, it is not discrimination to deny that loan if they don't meet the special criteria. This is all, everything that I'm telling you is just following their rabbit hole, guys. This is not Brian. This is their rabbit hole. These are their words. These are their filings. These are their essays. This is everything I'm saying is them. I am not editorializing this at all. Okay, so now we know what they're doing with this program. So let's do this. Oh, okay, so one more thing. Well, how can it not be discrimination to turn somebody down because they're not the right ethnicity? This resembles nothing that I've ever learned in mortgage lending. I've taken the tests. So every realtor's taking the test. Every lender's taking the test. When is it okay to discriminate? You know what? Never. It's never. No. Those tests need to be amended. Those tests need to say, when is it okay? When is it legal to discriminate? It is legal to discriminate when they come out with a targeted lending program that says you can discriminate. That's when it's legal. Okay. Again, tell me why I'm wrong. I want to be wrong on this, guys. I want to be wrong on this. But this, I didn't write any of this. They did. Okay. So let's continue following their footnotes. Where did they come up with, why was it decided that it's not discrimination under ECOA to deny a loan, for a lender to deny a loan? Where do they get the authority? Right here. Okay, so let's go, so we're at 28. Okay, so 28, this is in their footnotes. Okay, so let's go back down to 28. Okay, let's go right here. Oh, and by the way, my bad. 28, that's 1691C. 628, 1691C. 1691C. 1691. 1691. And here is our 1691C right here. Okay. This is their legal authority. Title 15, Commerce and Trade. All right. Got our 3 pages here. All right. So what they say is, it is not a violation of this section for a creditor, that's you, lender, to refuse to extend credit offers, basically to deny a loan. To refuse to extend credit, that's just turning a loan down. It is not a violation for you to turn down somebody's loan because, one, Any credit assistance program expressly authorized by law for an economically disadvantaged, there's our term again, class of person. We have defined our class of person. Okay. Any credit assistance program administered by a nonprofit organization for its members or an economically disadvantaged class of persons. And any special purpose credit program offered by a profit-making organization, that would be a mortgage company, to meet special social needs which meet the standards prescribed in regulations by the Bureau. In other words, when the Bureau says you can discriminate legally. Am I reading that wrong? Any special purpose credit program, it is okay to deny a loan when you have a special purpose credit program offered for a for-profit, that's a mortgage company, organization that meets special social standards and needs that are set by the Bureau, prescribed in regulations by the Bureau. So in short, if the Bureau says it's okay to discriminate, it's okay to discriminate. And from this, we got this. From this, we got this from the CFPB. And then they took this, and then we got the interagency. All the agencies got together. And you notice that the language that I just read to you way back here in this little tiny piece of nothing written, this right here, it's tier removed, but it is the exact same language that the interagency statement is right there. That is the exact same language as that. And again, we just followed their rabbit hole. Okay? And then from there, we get a special lending program. Pretty crazy, isn't it? All right. So a few things just to clarify here. I'm not even saying I disagree with those programs. I disagree with the program. I do disagree with how the whole thing is kind of being put together. I think more transparency would have been infinitely better. I think trying to disguise language is a little disingenuous. I also think that we need, frankly, I think there could have been better solutions. I am all for help serving underserved communities. My God, it's so long overdue. As I said at the beginning of my live today, when we look at home ownership numbers amongst underserved communities, oftentimes they're lower now than they were 50, 60, 70 years ago. At one point, I even heard, they had higher home ownership. We had higher home ownership rates during the years of Jim Crow laws. Whatever metric we use to judge, have we collective as a society, have we been in service of underserved communities? And the answer is a catastrophic no. We haven't. We have not done what we need to do. But at the same time, I'm looking at things like this, and I'm just thinking about communities and the divisive nature of how the world is set right now. And if we know that certain people are getting federal assistance based on their skin color when other ones aren't, that no matter whoever they're targeting, it seems like all it's going to do is sow resentment in communities. Well, then what do you say, Brian? No, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this. What we do is we run these down socioeconomic lines, don't we? Let's do it that way. Target a community. Target the south side of Chicago. That would be a great place to start. And almost every major city, has the same type of stuff. Target the Tenderloin in San Francisco. Target the entire city of Richmond, California. And if you're going to find a disproportionately high number of African Americans or Hispanics or Native Americans, then so be it. A disproportionate number of Native Americans and African Americans will receive the money. Hispanics will receive the money. But don't leave anybody on the outside looking in. Particularly right now when we see immigration coming from all different sorts right now. We now have immigration coming from Europe. We're hearing people coming over from the Ukraine now. We have a huge Somali contingency over in Minnesota. From the Middle East, we have a huge contingency coming from the Middle East, from Mexico, South and Central America. I mean, we from Asian and Pacific Islanders. We have immigration coming from everywhere right now. So we are going to find those on the lower socioeconomic rungs of our ladder, with all different ethnicities. If we run this down socioeconomic lines, then we don't leave anybody behind. I see with the head of this agency, the spearhead of this Freddie Mac agency proposal for targeted lending programs coming out and saying this is who it's for. At least that's how it's written. It doesn't accomplish all of its goals. It's going to be harmful in many, many ways. We are picking and choosing winners and losers based on ethnicity. And you can say we've done that a lot in the past, and I'm saying then let's try to fix that. But again, when we run it down socioeconomic lines rather than ethnicity lines, then those who need it the most get the most in any targeted community that we're looking at right now. So anyways, when it comes down to lending, every lender in the country, is looking at their ECOA, numbers. They're looking at fair housing. They're looking at HMDA to make sure that they're not going to be caught in the crosshairs. There's a couple of guys out in Chicago who got busted for a radio show that they were doing that, frankly, everything got debunked, but it was assumed to be discriminatory in nature. And it was so wildly, overly sensitive that they busted people who, for reasons that were patently wrong, but that's how sensitive we are when it comes to issues of race. And yet the federal government, through our agencies, are now coming out and just taking everything that we thought to be true for decades and decades and decades and seemingly have just thrown it all out the window. And I don't know how to reconcile these points right now because it all seems kind of crazy to me. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. And by the way, sharing is caring too. Keep this conversation. It's an important conversation. Keep this conversation going. There's going to be a lot more to this going forward because Freddie's going to come out with targeted marketing. They've already said that. HUD is going to be much more aggressive in this area. And as I said months ago, do you remember? I said months ago, the reason why these programs are going to start coming out now and there's going to be this big push, it's for the November 8th midterm elections. That's why they're doing this. No one said anything about loan programs a few months ago. Now we have a lot of people who are concerned they're not going to get votes that they were going to get before. So what do? We come out with extremely remarkably strong language trying to get our voting block, which is in tatters, back together and, hitting up, their polling sites on election night. I just can't help but think that this whole thing is just a bunch of disingenuous malarkey that's all intended to rile up a voting base to get people to go out and vote for him. And it's just if this was not disingenuous, this would have been rolled out years ago. And they would have come straight at it and just said, hey, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing, and we think this is for everybody. This is in the best interest of everybody. I'll tell you this, for me personally, if everybody in this country were to succeed financially, it would be better for me. Very selfishly, I want everybody of every class and every ethnicity to succeed because it is better for me, Brian Stevens. Because that's more people who will buy into my shit and buy into your stuff and buy cars and buy whatever it is that we make, we manufacture, what we sell. More commerce is going on. More money is changing hands. When people succeed and we have more money, we all collectively do better. I'm in it to win it, guys. So if we have to go ahead and put together programs that are disproportionately better for some at the expense of others, I mean, I'm not even saying I'm against it. I'm just saying how they rolled this thing out is disingenuous as all damn hell. And maybe it's a disingenuous nature of how this thing was rolled out and what they're doing with the timing that they're doing it on right before the elections, which is precisely the reason why we haven't made any headway in the past 60 years when it comes to these issues of housing and ethnicity. But I could be wrong. Let me know I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. Go ahead, post it here openly as long as you guys don't attack my family. You can attack me, that's all right. And keep your language clean. By all means, let me know what you think. And if, either pro or con, let me know what you guys think on this. And if you have any additional information that I might be missing that you can share with me for a future live, that would be cool too. Again, with that said, sharing is caring. I think this is an important topic. It's one that's not being widely discussed today. It will be in a couple of months, as is often the case over here with our National Real Estate Post live videos that we do. But for today, we've got a handful of folks who have the inside lane on how this whole thing is going right now. So let me know what you guys think, and I want to say I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you guys again shortly. Tomorrow. Oh, last point. I'll be down in Anaheim at the Anaheim Convention Center this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Anaheim Convention Center. I'll be at the Career Compass event. I'll be speaking at the Career Compass event. So if you want to come to the Anaheim Convention Center Friday, Saturday, or Sunday and stop by and say hi or check out what we're doing, that would be cool. And a couple weeks later, I'll be up in Spokane, Washington. And if you guys want to, if you're up in the Pac Northwest and want to cruise up to Spokane by Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I'd love to see you guys there too. Make it a great day. Make sure you subscribe. And I hope I see you guys in the morning on the National